So today I get to scratch one off the bucket list. I get to drive a very rare 964. I know we use the term rare too much these days, but if I told you 45 cars, would you call that rare? I think I would. So in 1992, Porsche wanted to host its own Carrera Cup in the USA. That was a race series consisted of just Carrera Cup cars. They're called Super Cup nowadays. They had teams lined up, they had buyers lined up, but at the last minute, they decided to cancel it. So these cars were already in the United States. 29 or so were already converted to race cars. What to do with them? Well, they had to convert them back and sell them in the United States as street cars. This is one of those cars. This is one of what they call the port cars. Cars that never really made it to the racetrack. They had the engines modified, almost like parts or backup cars they used for the series. It's a unique car in the sense that it's an RS that they brought to the US from Europe, and they wanted to send it to Andal in California and have them convert them to race cars. So much so, they wanted to make conversions so easily that the carpet wasn't even glued down. It was very loosely fitted, so it could easily be removed once it reached Andal, so they could weld the cage in. It had an RS motor. It had the aluminum front hood from the RS, no sunroof. Very importantly, it had a seam welded chassis. That's something that was always a rumor about the RS America, but never proven. But on the USA Cup cars, they did have seam welded chassis. Because it had to adhere to US road regulations when they went to sell them, it had the 5-mile-an-hour bumper bar installed where the RSs didn't have that. It had the door bars installed, still steel doors. RSs didn't have that. It had the US glass, not the lighter weight glass. Much like the RS, it still used a wing, motorized wing. It had 9.5-inch rear wheels, 7-inch front. 9.5-inch was unique to these cars. In the engine bay, you can see it had no power steering. Power steering would reside right back there. Had no air conditioning, no radio. The previous owner of this car installed Moton, so he changed the original suspension to something a little bit more aggressive and adjustable, which is the Moton Club Sports. But it was pure business. It was a racing steel synchronous transmission. It had a very aggressive limited slip. It was a car that you heard the term, it's a race car for the street. This really was a race car that was street legal. It's something that really they don't do anymore. So it's going to be exciting. Why don't you join me for a drive? And let's see what this rare USA Cup car feels like on a country road.
Be sure to log into your YouTube account, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. Best of all, it's free to do so.
It sounds phenomenal, sitting from the driver's seat. It is, yeah, it's something that electric cars just can't replicate. The power they have, but that sound, well, it's just very communicative. Second gear is a little notchy, but this isn't necessarily the same gear shift as my 964. I believe it's the RS. The brakes are also larger than the 964, like almost 911 turbo size brakes. Definitely demands your attention. There's no PSM. Really, the only Manny it has on it is ABS. The rest is all up to you and the seat of the pants. This is what makes these cars so great. It's a really tight suspension. It's a little bouncy, just like my race car was. So I imagine that this would be a blast on the track. It feels like it has a slightly lightweight flywheel, not super light, but just a little bit lighter. Doesn't feel like it has a dual mass. RPMs are very, very responsive. It's all manual steering. At low speed, it feels kind of heavy, but once you get going, you forget that you have manual steering. Not heavy at all. Very responsive. I think these are Club Sport Motons, so they have a certain degree of adjustability, which depending on what kind of roads, a road like this, which is a little bit uneven, you could probably fine-tune your suspension to be a little less bouncy. But I'm not going to give it up. It's just so much feedback it gives you. Well, the difference is only about 20 horsepower difference between this and the regular C2. It just feels so much more. On to the ratings. Well, that was a great bucket list item to check off for me. So a car show, I would give this an easy 8, and you're going to have to stand by the car and explain to people what this car is, because the owner of this car brought it to the PCA open house last year, and most people thought it was just a regular C2. And I spotted it right away because it didn't have a sunroof. And that was, I could see it going to park with no sunroof, a 964. That was a immediate red flag that this was something special. And so when I approached him, first thing you think it's a tribute car, but it's had so many of the right stuff. I had to ask him if this was a real USA Cup car. And so he started telling me the story about it, that it was a real USA Cup car. So for a car show, an easy 8. For daily driver, I don't think you buy this for a daily driver. It doesn't have air conditioning. It's very stiff suspension. I would be scared to death of someone rear-ending me on a regular daily commute to work. So I would, at the most, daily drive this maybe once a week at the most if I had to. So as far as daily driver, I'd give it a 4. And not daily driver. So road trip, you always hear me say it depends of my passenger. My wife comes with me. 964, and even the street one is like maybe a 2-hour car. After that, it's not very comfortable. This car is very comfortable. It has the comfort seats in it, but the suspension is very tight. And on the interstate, I have a feeling you wouldn't feel the stiff suspension as much as you do on these side roads. But for a road trip car, yes, you got plenty of space behind the seats, and you have some space in the front trunk to pack luggage. But without the air conditioning, no radio, I'd have to give it a 5 for road trip. Now for fun rating, this is it. This is the definition of fun. This is a car that's so tossable and so it's forgiving to a point. It will bite you if you push it too hard. You won't break the laws of physics with it, but it will reward you, and it rewards good drivers, and you can really appreciate why rear engine is so dominant in motorsports, because Porsche spent so much time getting this right. And on the 964, with the steering, the shifting, the whole package, it's a easy 9. I think it's the highest rating I'll give for a fun car rating. It's an incredible car. Yeah, the guy who owns it's very lucky, and hopefully he takes care of a good time and takes care of it for a long time, and hopefully you enjoy the ride.